The Audit Tuesday topic today is a discussion on the July 26th SEC final ruling on cybersecurity, breach disclosure, and governance. To help understand the ramifications and how it pertains to identity governance, we have cyber and risk expert Paul Feather. Hi, Paul.
Good morning.
So first, Paul, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Ashley, thank you so much for having me on today. My practice is all about compliance advisory services for small to medium enterprise. And in the past, I had many years in public accounting working on public filers with the SEC. So I've seen most of this firsthand. And these rulings that they're giving to us here just last week are really important because it really helps us get better with our public company filings and our public company support of their IT and cybersecurity activities.
So you've seen this SEC ruling on cybersecurity. So why did this ruling come about?
Well, I think they're always changing the rules on everybody, which is really painful for all of these companies, especially the SEC filers. But they do it to actually help them get better. Everybody sees it as a painful situation, something that has to be done a certain way, but it is really to try to protect the interests of the public stock purchasers of these public companies. So all of these activities that are performed are there to help them get better, the SEC filers, but also to protect our interest if we're a stock owner of those companies. So I think these kind of filings come all the time. They change them a lot to actually enhance the security posture of a company and for them to get better.
And what are the details of this ruling?
Well, I think the biggest one that I've caught from this is that they're trying to help companies, public companies, report better on cybersecurity incidents. And I think if you understand how those kind of things interact, as an incident occurs, and it has to be materially a material type of effect, and that's another accounting word for that it has to be it has to affect the company in a major way. And most cyber incidents, they do affect the company with a large dollar amount. So that particular piece of it, the reporting, most stock investors want to know what's happened within a company before they buy the stock. So they read their filings online and get information about, different controls they have in place, what controls are broken, what kind of deficiencies they might have had in the past. And if those have been, they can get bubbled up into larger and larger, what we call deficiencies or significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And those kind of things are important for general investors, but also to understand if they're doing what they should be doing to protect the enterprise.
So what is usually the penalty for non-compliance?
Yeah, the one that most people don't talk about is the actual stock price going down. So I think that's really, because everybody has, even people within the company have shares of the stock usually. And so those, it's not really a penalty, but it is a penalty, right? There are fines and regulatory fines that occur for not reporting properly or timely. There are some other related, those kind of fines are in the news. They're usually pretty large. But I think the really underlying one that nobody talks about is the stock share price potential to go down.
So enterprises that incur a breach and are found not to be in compliance, so they're setting themselves up for fines and a lawsuit, right?
Correct, most definitely. And I think in most companies, the ones that I've worked in as an internal auditor, we're always trying to help them identify risks and mitigate those risks. So I think, these kind of activities, they're already doing it, right? Most of the time, these companies, they've been public for a long while. They've had these kind of SEC requirements put upon them. It's burdensome, but they've been doing it for a long time. But certain little aspects of IT security, IT operations, and some other areas can always be enhanced. We've talked about that many times, about the difference in detective controls and some that are, that actually preventive. So if you can put in a preventive control, much better, but an actual detective control is after the fact. So, and we'll talk about this, Garrett, the YouAttest platform is really one of those that helps you start to prevent some of the things that could really cause a problem. And I've seen that happen in companies too many times.
So governance is part of this. And would identity governance and the ability to show that the proper practice and procedures, such as monthly access reviews, help in a defense of showing that an enterprise was trying to be secure?
Yeah, most definitely. Because if you're doing something and you can't prove that you're doing it, it didn't happen, right? So
Nice.
it's really kind of funny. People say, "Oh yeah, we're doing that."
Yeah.
It's okay. You have to show us, tell us what you're doing, good reporting, and all the way up to senior management and the board. Now they're not going to be looking at these reports, but as the IT operations folks, IT security, they are gathering this information and they want to get better as well in their controls and activities. So they want to report up and then to the CIO or a CISO, and then from them to the board. And they'll need to report up to the board periodically of how they're doing. And so the YouAttest tool really will do that very well. It does it in an automated fashion and gives you those reports in any weekly, daily, monthly, whatever, quarterly. And there are requirements for certain period, we call them periodic, but sometimes you'll want to do it more often to stay ahead of the potential dangers of wrong access being granted.
Garrett, can you talk a little bit more about YouAttest?
And first of all, I love what Paul said. If you're doing the work and you're not documented, you're not doing the work.
It didn't work.
I mean, if a tree falls in the wood and no one documents it, according to legal practices, that tree did not fall. So that's where YouAttest comes in. It is the evidence of a properly conducted, accurate, and complete attestation of the identities around the data. And that's what these guidances are. In this case, in the SEC case, it's financial data. Great, rock and roll. The enterprises use YouAttest to attest to all those roles, not once, but on a regular basis. And the way it should be is admin accounts are monthly, regular users are quarterly. That's not capable. Any company cannot do that within a manual process. YouAttest has automated that process, auto-delegated, auto-scheduling. It's the entire thing's automated off your IAM system. That's the value of YouAttest, and that what it brings to this filings and to others. Yes.
Yeah, I want to throw one more thing in there. This is really important.
Sure.
This word financially relevant, right? So in a public company, the whole thing is about financially relevant. And so some people say, oh yeah, this app over here, it's not financially relevant. It's very small. There's no big money going through it. So let's not even look at it. And that's a problem because there could be some access problems in there that could directly affect other processes that are going on. So when we did user access reviews or helped companies put this in place as a control, a manual control, it would take 6 weeks to get through an actual user access review. By then, it's so outdated and it's not even usable. So, and they would leave out, 40% of the apps that they couldn't get a review done because they were so busy doing the financially relevant apps. And this includes, like you said, elevated access, general user access, all the apps that we used to do silo reviews. And this is something that will get across the silos. So you're not just getting a single silo of an app, but the whole platform or the whole environment. And it really will give you some insightful information on the quality of your user access roles and how good or bad they are from the people that know best out in the enterprise, not your IT guys. Those kind of guys don't really know who does what within a company. And all they do is assign roles and rights to these people. But the managers, their supervisors, those are the people that need to have eyes on this user access review. So we get a better quality review because external auditors will smack me all the time. So, well, let's talk quality. What was the quality of this review? Who did the review? What's their skill of knowing the activity that this role provides to this user? And this tool, YouAttest, really does that well. because it gets it out into enterprise, out into the managers and supervisors of these employees.
Fantastic.
Perfect. So, Paul, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. They can connect with me on LinkedIn if they'd like. They can go to my website. It's listed on LinkedIn. Any of those kind of call, I try not to take a bunch of calls and texts during the day. It gets kind of crazy. But I have had phone calls from CEOs and CFOs, controllers that call me and say, hey, jump on this call. We got a little problem. So I do a lot of red flag calls, helping people with their compliance and activities and controls to help them get better. So I'm open for those kind of conversations. Please reach out.
Love it. So, and then us at YouAttest, you can reach us at info@youattest.com, and we'll execute on your identity governance, identity security, and compliance needs. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here.
I thank you guys for bringing this to the market because it really helps. Thank you.
All the best. Thanks, Paul.
Take care.